This is the story of 20 concrete stairs outside a Southern California high school that became one of the most legendary, most dangerous, and most obsessed over spots in skateboarding history. El Toro High School, located in Lake Forest, California, looks like thousands of other suburban American high schools. Its exterior staircase, 20 steps connecting an upper courtyard to a lower plaza, was built for students moving between classes, not for skateboarding. There was nothing architecturally unique about it when it was constructed. What made El Toro extraordinary wasn't the staircase itself, it was what skaters eventually decided to do with it. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, as street skating pushed further into increasingly extreme terrain, a small number of professional skaters began seeking out the biggest, most intimidating stair sets they could find. 20 stairs at the time represented something close to the outer edge of what anyone believed was survivable on a skateboard. El Toro wasn't the first mega stair set skaters attempted, but it became, over time, the most iconic. What separates a legendary skate spot from just another set of stairs is documentation and difficulty combined. When professional skaters began successfully landing tricks down El Toro's 20 stairs and capturing that footage on film, the spot instantly became a benchmark, a way for the entire skateboarding world to measure just how far the sport's biggest names were willing to push themselves. Landing a trick at El Toro wasn't just an athletic achievement, it became a statement, proof that a rider belonged among skating's most fearless. This created a self-reinforcing cycle. Each successful attempt made the spot more famous, which made it more desirable for the next generation of riders looking to prove themselves, which in turn produced more attempts, more footage, and more legend. Skate videos throughout the 2000s regularly featured pilgrimage-style trips to El Toro, treating an ordinary high school staircase as a kind of sacred testing ground. To understand why El Toro carries such mythic weight in skate culture, it helps to understand what 20 stairs actually demands physically. Every additional stair increases both the vertical drop and the horizontal distance a rider must clear, which means landing speed, impact force, and the margin for error all scale dramatically compared to smaller stair sets. A trick that's difficult but survivable on a 5 or 8 stair set becomes something else entirely at 20, a genuine test of a rider's technical skill and their willingness to accept serious physical risk. This is precisely why El Toro attracted almost exclusively only the most accomplished professional skaters, riders like Clint Peterson and others who built portions of their reputation specifically around conquering the spot. Attempting El Toro wasn't a casual decision. It represented years of technical preparation applied to a single unforgiving obstacle where mistakes carried real consequences. El Toro's reputation wasn't built solely on successful makes, it was equally built on the injuries that came with repeated attempts. Skateboarding media covering the spot over the years documented a long list of serious injuries sustained there, broken bones, torn ligaments, and other significant trauma among riders attempting tricks down the full 20-stair run. The spot's difficulty meant that even highly skilled professionals frequently failed, sometimes at high speed, before eventually landing a trick cleanly. This pattern of serious injury became, paradoxically, part of what made El Toro so mythologized within skate culture. The spot wasn't just hard, it was known to genuinely hurt people, and that reputation for real physical danger separated it from spots that were merely technically challenging. In skateboarding's particular value system, that kind of risk commanded respect precisely because it was undeniable. As El Toro's fame grew throughout the 2000s, so did tension with the school and surrounding community. Skaters filming attempts at the spot were technically trespassing on school property, often arriving early in the morning or on weekends to avoid being caught. The school eventually installed additional deterrents, and skaters attempting the spot developed something of a cat-and-mouse relationship with school security and local law enforcement, sneaking onto campus for brief, high-stakes filming sessions before being asked or forced to leave. This adversarial dynamic only added to El Toro's legend. Successfully landing a trick there wasn't just a technical accomplishment, it required logistics, planning, and a willingness to deal with the real possibility of getting caught, adding another layer of difficulty and mystique to an already extraordinarily hard spot. Decades after skaters first started attempting the 20-stair set, El Toro remains one of the most referenced locations in skateboarding history, a shorthand within the culture for the outer limits of what's humanly possible on a board. Its place in skate video history is treated with a kind of reverence usually reserved for genuinely historic locations, not because of any architectural significance, but because of what the spot came to represent. The point where technical skill, physical risk, and cultural credibility intersected most dramatically. What makes El Toro's story particularly compelling is how ordinary its origins were. It wasn't built for skateboarding, it wasn't designed with any of this in mind. It became legendary purely because a specific group of skaters decided, one at a time over many years, that this particular staircase was worth the risk and worth documenting in a way that eventually turned an anonymous piece of suburban school architecture into one of the most famous locations in skateboarding history. El Toro's 20 stairs never asked to become a pilgrimage site. They exist because skateboarding as a culture has always measured itself partly through obstacles that push the edge of what seems survivable, and because film and video gave those attempts a permanence that transformed a single spot into shared cultural mythology. The injuries were real, the difficulty was real, and the legend that grew out of both is, in its own strange way, one of the purest examples of how skateboarding turns ordinary urban architecture into something the entire culture recognizes as sacred ground.